You know what, Seal? Today we are going for a drive.
Oh really? On the highway?
Yes indeed, on the highway.
Oh yeah!
But not just any drive, because in this channel we do things differently. We actually listen to our subscribers. So here's Alte asking for a range test, so we'll cover that. And here's IBET72 asking about how battery temp behaves on a highway drive, so let's check that one. And finally, here's RMK asking about this accuracy of the SOC estimation in the route planner. So we'll cover all of these three things at once. This is your favorite source of Seal content. This is the Electric Seal.
The Electric Seal.
So we are pretty much ready to go for this drive, but first let's start by plugging in this OBDII reader so that we can monitor the battery temperature while driving. And the question here was that basically that will the battery temperature pick up in long distance driving at high speeds on the highway. So today we'll find out how does that behave on these winter conditions. Will the battery temperature increase while we are driving continuously 100 kilometers per hour on the highway? Let's see what kind of impact it will have. Let's connect this OBD reader into the OBD port of the Seal. And our starting point with the battery temperature is that the minimum cell temperature is 3 degrees and the maximum is 5. So definitely a cold battery to start with, and we'll see if this number will pick up during the highway drive and what is the impact. The drive that we are going to do today is 160 kilometers in total, and if you tap this green line here and the destination here on the top, you'll get the trip summary. You'll see that the estimation is a little bit under 2 hours, 1 hour 48 minutes and 160 kilometers. So we are going to first drive to Lahti. The estimation is that we should arrive there with 46% battery, and then we go back to Kerava and we should be there with 25% battery left. Total distance is 160 kilometers, and this is mostly highway. This straight line here is the highway, 100 kilometers per hour. So this is now the test of the state of charge estimation accuracy. How well does this hold? Now in these winter conditions we have 1 degree Celsius outside, and we are mostly going to drive 100 kilometers per hour. So how well can the Seal estimate the battery consumption during this drive of 160 kilometers? Today we'll find out. Alright, so we are on our way and our cruising speed is pretty much exactly 100 kilometers per hour, GPS real speed. And interesting to see how well does the SOC estimation hold, how accurate is it. I haven't recently done too many longer drives. I think the last one was 350 kilometers was in the autumn, last autumn, but during the winter time I haven't really had any long distance driving this year. Of course, in the summer I did that 7,000 kilometer road trip in Europe. I hope I'm still in the top 100 Seal road trippers across the world. Maybe 7,000 kilometers qualifies. But lately it has been more like commuting and short trips around the town, and but today this 160 kilometers, I know it's not that long, but still I think it's enough for this winter range test combined with the route planner SOC estimation accuracy test. And of course the third thing that we are looking at is the battery temperature in the winter conditions. How does the highway drive kind of impact that, or does it? Actually at the moment I can see the battery temp is pretty much the same. It has increased 1 degree since we started 10 minutes ago. So no big changes there. So basically car estimates that this total drive 160 kilometers, 45% of the battery would be enough for that. Let's see how close it will be. But 45% of course means, so calculating roughly, it's about 36 kilowatt hours in 160 kilometers. Well, I think that's around 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Well, actually not that much. I think it's around 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers or something like that. So that is the car's understanding and estimation of the consumption during this drive, which I think sounds pretty fair. 23 thereabouts. This is 100 kilometers per hour in about 0 degrees or 1 degree Celsius current temperature outside. So this is definitely winter conditions. But otherwise it's good. We don't have any rain. Roads are dry. So it's not the most demanding weather, but still clearly winter conditions, and then we'll always talk about over 20 kilowatt hours of course consumption, and in many cases it is around 25. So we've been driving around 20 minutes. We have 59% battery left, so we have been consuming now 11% of the battery. And the estimation was that when we arrive in Lahti in about half an hour, we should have 46%, so 13% left, and the distance left is 49 kilometers. So let's think about it. 13% is roughly 10 kilowatt hours, and we have 49 kilometers left. So that means about 21 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers would be the consumption requirement to reach that 46% SOC at halfway in Lahti. And the past 50 kilometers active energy consumption in the driver's instrument cluster shows 24 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Well, we haven't been driving not quite 50 kilometers yet. So we have to see where does this settle. But to me it seems that the consumption is a bit higher. But if it is, then probably also our state of charge is a little bit below that 46% that was estimated by the route planner. Let's see. And of course we can also check from the route planner if what is the latest kind of estimation. If there is such a thing. So if we click this destination, yeah, so now we can now we get updated estimations here. So in Lahti now the estimation is 45, so it has been dropping 1 percentage point compared to what it was when we started, and then in the final destination in Kerava, the SOC is estimated to be 24%, also 1 percentage point less than in the beginning. So it's good that the infotainment and the route planner keeps updating these estimations, but still it doesn't mean that it is. But still, we need to see how accurate it is. Maximum battery cell temperature is now up to 9 degrees Celsius. I think it was 5 when we started, so it has doubled, almost up 4 degrees. But of course, you know, the temperature, I think when the charging really starts to accelerate is above 15 degrees or thereabouts. I think an optimum is probably, you know, 25 or 30, or I don't know what is the optimum, but definitely 9 degrees is, you don't do that much with that yet. But of course, it does mean that when you arrive at charger, then there is less time needed to heat the battery. So in that sense, I guess every degree matter, so to say. So it might a little bit impact your charging session time. And now we have been driving roughly that 50 kilometers, which mostly is highway, but there was also in the beginning that 60 area. But the active energy consumption is 24.7, so very close to 25. Kind of expected. And our estimations, well, they are actually now decreasing. Now you can see that the SOC estimation at final destination is down to 21%. So this is not the thing that the original estimation was not actually very good. It was 25%. Now it's 21%. That is already a significant difference, 4 percentage points. I think the route planner, the car, and the BMS, I think there could be some room for improvement. So how the route planner analyzes the conditions, the temperature that it gets from the car, the route that it's calculating, the kind of average speed, and those kind of factors, and how it puts all that information together for this state of charge estimate. I think, at least based on what I see currently, to me it seems that there is some room for improvement there, to optimize that calculation, to really give more realistic SOC estimations in the beginning. And now if this constantly kind of decreases and goes well below 20, closer to 15, that kind of defeats the purpose of having the estimation. The estimation should be there so that you can trust it, you can kind of be confident about it, and you don't have to monitor the situation that much. Of course, it is still good to have this ability that you can continuously see the trip summary and the updated figures here, and then if it if you see it dropping too much, then you can find chargers which is also integrated into this infotainment. So here you can see we are pretty much halfway through on our way to Lahti, and then we'll or a little bit actually further. Then I'll visit quickly one store, and then we are on our way back on the same route, different direction, and we are going to Kerava. Then we'll see how close we are to that 25%. And now the route planner estimation has gone up a bit. So in the final destination at Kerava, it says now that 23%, we would arrive at 23%. So previously it was showing 21, and now it's back up to 23. Original estimate was that 25. So it seems that it's a good thing that it's not constantly decreasing. That would make the first estimate really a lousy one. But yeah, it seems that it's going a little bit back and forth. First it was decreasing quite a bit, but then raising back to some extent. So it may be that the initial estimate is pretty accurate in the end after all. So let's give it some time. And taking a look at the OBDII reader figures, so there you can see that the battery maximum cell temperature is now first time 10 degrees. The minimum is still 6 degrees, but there is some 3 to 5 degree increase in these figures since we started, and that is after some 70 kilometer drive. So hopefully this gives you some idea of how the battery temp behaves in this kind of long distance driving at high speeds. And probably you will need a couple of 100 kilometers to have a significant impact on the battery temperature when driving on highway. So definitely this kind of 70 kilometers or something like that, that is not enough to raise the temperature too much. Of course, I have had only one proper acceleration. I haven't done hard braking and acceleration. If you would do that constantly many times, I guess then you would probably see a bit more increase in the temp. But in the regular highway driving, you're likely to need that 200 kilometers to be able to raise that battery temp to somewhere between 15 to 20 degrees. So we are now getting close to Lahti, and we have 4 kilometers left, and state of charge is 45%. And of course the initial estimate was 46%. We didn't quite reach that one, but still it seems that it was fairly accurate. I think a couple of percentage points difference is still somewhat acceptable in this type of 85 kilometer trip. Of course, that should be still improved and optimized, that it would be even more exact. But let's see. I think we might reach there at 44% or 43. Let's see. So I'm pretty happy so far. And here we are in Lahti at 44%. So the initial estimate was 2 percentage points off. 46 versus 44. Still pretty good. Yeah, when I said in the beginning that my consumption estimation for this route was 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, now it was 22.5. So it seems that I had a pretty good hunch of how much the Seal would consume in these conditions and on this route. And the battery temperature, like mentioned, 6 to 10 degrees at halfway through. So hopefully we'll get closer to 15 when we arrive at Kerava, but it seems that the temperature increase in these 0 degrees Celsius conditions is quite low and slow. So most likely when we arrive at the fast charger, it will take some time to still heat the battery after 160 kilometers of drive. But let's see what is the experience then. But yeah, now it's time to head back and towards Kerava. Let's look at the estimation at final destination. It is now 22%. So the car estimates that 70 kilometers would take 22% of battery, and that is roughly, quick calculation, about 18 kilowatt hours. So 17 kilowatt hours. So that's then what that means is that it's about 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So it seems realistic to reach that one. So based on the current consumption, it seems that the Seal has about 350 kilometers effective range in these conditions. So winter conditions, 0 degrees, and highway drive 100 kilometers per hour. So this is maybe 90% highway drive or thereabouts, and 350 kilometers is what you can get. And of course the math is now, when looking at the past 50 the active energy consumption is 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. If you multiply that by 3.5, you will get I think 77 kilowatt hours. And as you know, the Seal's battery has the net capacity of 82.5 kilowatt hours, so that 77 kilowatt hours is pretty close. So 350, that's the kind of effective range. Of course, you always need to have a bit of buffer. You won't be driving to 0%, or at least I hope so. Personally, I usually keep 10% buffer or something like that. But many people use 5% easily. And of course, on this route, our destination is already around 22%. So now looking at the updated trip summary, it says 21%. So it has now decreased back to 21%. This is the lowest that I've seen this estimate to be. And in the beginning, you remember this same figure was 25%. So 4 percentage points difference, 4 percentage points variation in these estimations. And we have about half an hour to the destination, 58 kilometers. And currently battery is now down to 39%. So we have the car thinks that 18% of battery is enough for this remaining 58 kilometers. And if we again do the math, 18% is about I think 15 kilowatt hours. It seems to be adding up to around around 22 consumption for 100 kilometers. All right, so 35 kilometers to go. Current state of charge in the battery is 33%, and the trip summary says estimation still 21% at the destination. Battery temp, the same story continues, a little bit increase, so maximum cell temperature is 12 degrees. That probably won't reach 15 by the time we are there at Kerava. And the battery is now at 25%, and that was the initial estimation that the route planner gave us when we started this 160 kilometer drive. And we have 6 kilometers left, and now we are at that 25%. So pretty good result. 6 kilometers, of course, is not much when you consider the 160 kilometer total length. It's about 4%. So I would say pretty good result, pretty good estimation accuracy by the route planner. So we have been now driving that 160 kilometers. We are just 500 meters away from. The battery state of charge is still 24%. So that's very good result in the end. So initial estimation 25 wasn't that far after all. It was actually a really close result and a very accurate estimation. So I have to say that well done BYD. And now looking at our final battery temperatures, they are 8 degrees and 13 degrees. So not a massive increase. That was one of those 3 tests that we went to do today and what we have now completed. But of course we can also now check how is the fast charging speed and the power. So yeah, here you can also see our final result, 24%. We have arrived at the destination at Kerava that we set 160 kilometers earlier, and then the car told us that we would arrive at 25%, and we did arrive at 24%. Great result by the route planner. Really pleased to see this level of accuracy. I think it worked really well, and I'm happy to use the built-in navigation in the Seal with the route planner then in upcoming road trips as well. I think it definitely adds a lot of value to have these estimations in the navigation. And then the OBD readings, as mentioned, 8 and 13, so not any massive increase in the battery temperature, but hopefully it will a little bit at least help this next DC fast charging session, so that the battery warming process wouldn't be that long as it would have been without this 160 kilometers drive. Let's see what kind of power we can get from this DC charger today. And of course the third test that we did was the range estimate. Here is the past 50 kilometers active energy consumption, which is 20, but what matters really is that we used 26% of the battery, and that roughly equals 350 kilometers of effective range in the highway in winter conditions. Here you can see my exact calculation with the exact numbers, and hopefully this helps you to give an idea of what the Seal is capable of pulling in these conditions in high speed long distance driving. But yeah, let's still do that charging as a kind of bonus test today. Alright, so plugged in the DC charger and let's check what kind of power we get out of it. 79 kilowatts, 80 is the first figure we get, and well, now there you go. This is the usual ramp down that you see with the Seal. So this is due to the battery heating process, which has now started. And here in the driver's instrument cluster you can see this message, the old warm tip, that the smart management control system of power battery in work. Once it gets the temperature up, then it will ramp up the charging power. But now the minimum cell temperature is 9, maximum cell temperature is 14. So let's see, where do these figures need to grow. So yeah, let's see. Alright, now luckily just after a minute we see the charging power ramping up to 75, and we have been charging now for 18 minutes. So the battery heating process this time was quite fast. And we are getting pretty decent power from this charger. The peak was 139 just a moment ago. Now it's down to 130 and 120 now, but quite good. And the battery got up to temperature really fast compared to some previous charging tests that I've done in winter conditions. So as you can see here, the minimum cell temperature is already 24 and the maximum is 39. And now the current power, you can see it there, is 120. And like I mentioned, the peak has been 139 kilowatts. I think this was our video today. We covered quite a lot in one video, actually 3 tests, and then this charging was a bonus one. If you enjoyed this video, if you think it was useful information, please hit the like button. That would be appreciated. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.